Another topic that's interesting is just working with the band in general. It seems like there's a couple of things it's called. One is going over the figures and how the band might play to them. How much guidance or how much do you tell the bands or what do you ask for them? And also related to that, I know that sometimes you set the tempo that you want for the band.
Sometimes.
If you can talk, if you think it's necessary.
It depends on the band, tempo-wise. Yeah. Some bands need a little more guidance with tempo than others. I usually feel it out and give them guidance if necessary, or if they ask for it. As far as, you were talking about matching dances, right?
Well, yeah.
What information do I
give? Yeah, you show the card to the band.
And I don't always pull the cards out.
Yeah.
Because if it's a dance that I know like the back of my hand, I'm not even going to bother pulling the card out because I don't need it. But I will tell the band where things are. And I'll say to them, this is information. If it helps you choose a tune, wonderful. If it doesn't, play something you like. Because I don't want the band to get all stressed in, trying to pick a tune. And some bands are better at it than others. Some bands don't even have a concept that they can pick a tune to go with a dance. And I still tell them information. Because what I've learned is, if I give them information, then it helps to open their minds to the fact that, oh, we have a part in this. So I might say, this dance starts with a balance. I need something strong at the beginning, something that pulls things together. Or I'll, describe the hey being, flowing, or this particular, I have several dances where the A part and the B part are identical. So some tunes, the A part and the B part of the tune are fairly close to each other in sound. But I might ask for a tune that's got a really different flavor from the A to the B, because that, I know, helps to hold it together. A major, minor, high, low, some way to distinguish between these two identical parts that are really different.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of information that you can give, and some bands want more information, so I give them more. Some bands are just like, we're going to play whatever we're going to play. Okay, well, I'm going to give you some information, and if it helps, great, and if it doesn't, don't worry about it. So, it used to be, I'd say to bands, do you want to know what's in the dance, or are you just going to play whatever you're going to play? Right. And they go, oh, we're just going to play, okay. But now I tell them anyway. And my husband's band, when I first started working with him years ago, before he was my husband, I would just tell him stuff. And he got him thinking how he could actually play better for dances. And what kinds of tunes would go with what sorts of dances. So he's gotten really good at picking tunes.
Well, and that ties really well with the other videos with the musicians and how they play.
Yeah.
The Free Raisins video is just really interesting.
Cool.
Because they were all here playing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
And they just played something with A and B parts different and stuff. It's very...
Well, and a lot of times in collar school and workshops, they'll say, well, you can ask the band for a specific tune, but instead of asking the band for a specific tune, you should maybe ask them for a tune like such and such. Which I never understood from any level. I would hear this, I'd go to callers workshops 20 years ago, and they would say this, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I've wanted to do this experiment, and I never have, but I've talked about it a lot in callers workshops myself. If you picked a tune, say Soldier's Joy, and you said, I want a tune like Soldier's Joy to the band. What part of Soldier's Joy do you want the tune like? Like the A part or like the B part? Or because you like this element of it or that element of it? Everybody's gonna, if you wrote down, if everybody had an index card and they wrote on it what about Soldier's Joy was what they wanted in the tune that they were asking from the band for this particular dance, I would be willing to bet you would have something different written on the card from every person in the room. So I never felt like that was a good way of asking for what you want. And some people like to ask adjectives. I have a few bands I work with. Give me the adjectives, give me the feeling of this. And what I've learned about adjectives, for me personally, is people's interpretation isn't always my interpretation. And then If I have an expectation, then there's room for me to be disappointed. And I don't want to be disappointed. So I'd rather be more open to, I tell people where things are. There's a balance here, there's a down the hall, there's a sweeping motion here, there's, this dance ends with a balance the ring to California twirl to balance at the top. So it's got this real snappy from the end to the beginning. And that's gonna, if your music has that, that's gonna be helpful. So I know my dances really well, and that helps me to ask for certain things. I have one dance that I love. It's the greatest dance, one of the greatest dances. It is so flowy. It goes from a circle to a swing. It's called Through the Looking Glass by Carrie Rabbits, and it's got all of this, like there's a half of a hay, the men lead half a hay, and then all the men left and star promenade, they pick the ladies up, and the ladies lead half of a hay, and then there's a swing at the end. I can't remember the beginning. It might be a circle and a swing. I think so. Anyway, but it's just this luscious, flowy thing. And so I used to say when I first started calling it, this really flowy dance. And so bands would play these really flowy tunes that were like run-on sentences. And because there were no balances in the dance, and there were no breaks in the tunes, the dancers would forget. They'd be like, I'm going to swing you forever. Because there wasn't anything in the music that compelled them that it was time to do something else. And there wasn't a balance that brought the whole room together that compelled those late running people, those lost in a swing people, to stop and do something else. So now, when I ask for a tune for that particular dance, I say, this is a very smooth, flowy dance, but I need really well-phrased tunes that compel them to do something every 8 beats. And now the dance is very successful. But it's that simple. Like you could go, that's a really flowy dance, I need flowy tunes. Or the band can look at it and go, this is a really flowy dance, she needs flowy tunes. But if you've learned from experience that it doesn't work that way, then you know what to ask for.
That's really interesting. One of the things I like to avoid personal responsibility, and when I learned that when you mess up a dance, it could be the band's fault for not doing the phrasing. I mean, I was very excited about that, and I listened. I listened to that. I listened for those things, and you can hear it. It really is. It is true. And there was one particular dance where you're coming in for balance and swing with your partner or neighbor, but there was no bop from the band, and myself and others were all missing it. I brought this up to the Free Raisins, and they said yes, that's the they're very good to watch their video, by the way. And they talked about how yes, they need to give that 8 count beat.
There needs to be a little pop there.
But I mentioned this particular dance was actually one, you probably know the dance. I think it almost had either double or triple linked swings where maybe the men would swing in the center and then come out to their partner.
Okay.
So there was a swing coming into a swing, and people were moving on 4 count stuff. And Jeff said, that's the caller's problem. That if you've got I can't give you the phrasing to tell you to move something on a 4 count beat. The caller's got to hand you that one.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's important to know how much time things take.
Yeah.
And what's going to support the dance. And the more you do it, the more you understand what supports things. It's just flight time.
Well, anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I feel like we've covered a lot of things.
We have. I think
probably there's a million more things to cover.
I know, but that's super. Well, none of these videos appear as if they've been rehearsed and polished, and they're all kind of good enough. So, well, thank you, Beth.
Oh, you're welcome.
So,
It's a pleasure.